Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, ranking every build in NBA 2K history and ranking them number 1 through number 10. I decided on my 10 best builds in 2K history. We're going to decide what number 1 was. And quick disclaimer, I know a lot of people are clicking on this video and you're going to say 2K15 Demi Gods, 7'3", 99 everything, every single gold badge in the game. I already ruled that out. We're not counting that build because that was a complete glitch and should not have been in the game in the first place and completely ruined 2K15. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. As always, let's try to get 1 to 1K likes in the first 24 hours. Alright, so we're going to get straight into this. I do want to give a quick disclaimer, however, we're only going back to 2K15. Anything before that, we're not counting on this list. Pretty much where Mypark originated, obviously in 2K14 is where it started, but it was very new to the scene. The builds were pretty unidentified in the first place as well. So 2K15 is where we're starting with this. So as y'all can see, number 10, 9, and 8 on the list is going to be the 2K19, 20, and 21 post score. Now, I'm not doing that out of just the ease of me putting together this list. I promise y'all, I was ranking all of these builds that I wrote down, and truthfully, I do feel like 10, 9, and 8 are the post scores for reasons listed where they're only useful on 2v2 and 1v1 court. And their usefulness in Pro-Am is up to you guys to decide, but this is more so a Park list. Anyway, my whole point is, from 2K19 to 2K20 to 2K21, for whatever reason, these post scores have got even more and more dominant. In 2K19, it was most of the drop steps and the interior finishing. In 2K20, it was the post hooking and the fades. And now the post hooking got even better because you can use the shot stick gaming. And let's not even talk about that in the first place. Anyway, I did want to get this out of the way, however, because flat out, nobody wants to hear about the post scores. But again, they're super dominant on 2v2 court, 1v1 court, and honestly, they have been all the way back to 2K17 and 18 as well. But I felt like these were the 3 that were the most notable because of the post hooking and stuff like that too. And then with 19, with the post takeover being super dominant, the drop steps, the post spins, all types of stuff like that. I mean, the drop steps were literally almost unguardable if you weren't like a super tall rim protector. But anyway, moving along to number 7 on the list, we got the 2K17 stretch big. Now, I know there's gonna be a lot of disagreement on what's on this list and what's not. If you disagree, feel free to drop your comments, leave your feedback, tell me what I got wrong. But I've been playing 2K all the way back to 2K11, all right? I know exactly what I'm talking about with this stuff and what my opinions are. If you have a different opinion on this stuff, feel free to leave it in the comments like I was saying. But coming in my number 7 spot, like I said, we got the 2K17 stretch big. Reasoning for this, dexing in 2v2 was absolutely ridiculous, and obviously what you could do with this build when it came to 3v3. Let's not even talk about the animation glitch on the stretch big, talking about some Soluminati stuff where you would literally have the size up packages going back and forth. Pro 3 or whatever, I think it was Pro 3 or Elite 3 was the size up package, going back and forth, literally no hesitation on it at all. You could spam it back and forth all day. The hop jumpers on top of that were still equipped on this build. For those who know, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You would Elite 3 one way, hit the hop jumper back the other way, and be able to do the Elite 3 right back. You go boom, 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 just like that. 7'3" coming out here and literally just dribble God, stretch big over here, greening everything that you shoot. Like I said, the off-ball dexes in this game were ridiculous for the 2v2 court. You can do whatever you wanted to with this build, in all honesty. It was an absolute nightmare to guard as well, and it really gave a lot of the bigs problems. Now, you could make the case that the glass cleaner from 2K17 belonged on this list as well. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the dominance. I feel like that was a very glue build, but honestly, that's not even worth putting on the list. So coming in number 6 on this list, and you could make the case that it's extremely early for this build to be on the list. Like I said, if you have any feedback, any disagreements, feel free to leave them in the comments. But we have the 2K20 play lock coming in number 6. Now, what I mean by the whole play lock thing is anywhere from 6'5" to 6'8" on the yellow and red pie chart. You guys know the deal. Two-way slashing playmaker and playmaking glass cleaner. That's the title of the build. Yellow and red pie chart. Either way, you guys know what this build is capable of if you play 2K20. Absolute nightmare to guard, and honestly, absolute nightmare to be defended by as well. If you play 2K20, you know exactly what we're talking about with this build. There's literally no weakness, no problem to it at all. You would think the weakness would have been the shooting, but even with 65 3-point, you can green literally everything that you take, even in the ISO situations. And then on top of that, all the way up to 6'8", you still get the contact dunks with 85 driving dunk, Hall of Fame playmaking badges, you get speed boost, Hall of Fame dimer, all types of stuff like that. Hall of Fame defensive badges, great rebounding ratings, defensive ratings, whatever it was. Even the 6'5" play lock still had 90 defensive rebound, man. It was ridiculous. And this build had great physicals too, speed, vertical, strength, whatever it may be. Absolute beast of a build, and honestly, like I said, you can make the case that this is way too low on the list, but we got it coming in number 6. And for those who have played all the way back to 2K15, I think you guys will agree with what I have on this list from this point forward. But for anybody who's new to 2K and all the way back to maybe 2K19 or 2K20 was your earliest 2K, you could probably make the case that you have no clue as to what could possibly be better than a play lock in 2K20. But we do have one more build that is of the new age coming in at this top 5. So coming to number 5, we have a 2K16 6'7" outside point guard. So for those who don't know, you didn't play all the way back to 2K16, essentially the build system, we didn't have archetypes back then, so it was inside outside balanced. So the thing that makes this build so relevant and coming at number 5 on the list is that it literally was one of the only point guard builds that was worth making in the game. You could make the case that balance was worth making. I had a 6-foot balanced point guard myself. There was literally no reason being 6 foot in that game at all, but I still did it anyway, just for the sake of, I was just some random back then pretty much, right? So I was a 6-foot balanced PG. Anyway, whole point is, this build right here, you would think like, oh, 6'7" outside PG. If you correlate that to like 2K21 or 2K20 terms, you'd be like, oh, what good would a 6'7" pure sharp be or something like that? Well, listen. Imagine a 6'7" pure sharp that was able to speed boost and get gold posterizer and gold contact dunks and stuff like that too. Like, bro, it was ridiculous. So this build, it didn't have the highest driving dunk ratings, but you could absolutely still catch bodies, contact dunks like crazy, catch lobs, dunk in transition like wide open, all types of stuff like that. You get the deal. And then on top of that, like I said, crazy speed boosting ability. The size ups were amazing. The height is still obviously very good. Really, you didn't like get dominated on the interior in that game, I would like to think as well. So even like the 6'7", it's almost on some 2K15 PlaySharp stuff where even at 6'7" as a PG, your interior defense was great. The lateral quickness and defense on every build in 2K16 was amazing too. I'm talking, there was no such thing as a lockdown. So there's literally no point in being anything other than a 6'7" outside PG. Now, to be real with you guys, if there's one thing on this list that I feel like you could swap if you wanted to, is going to be number 5 and number 6. I feel like I might be living in the past a little bit too much and giving this build too much credit over the 2K20 play lock, because truth be told, this build is very dominant. Like, it really ruled the game, and especially 2v2 court. Now, the thing about a build like this, it works in every situation, all the way down the list. Pro-Am, 2v2, 3v3, whatever it may be. This is a staple in the game. This right here is a little bit more selective. I feel like it was only really a 2v2 build. It was solid on the 1v1 court, and I really don't even feel like you could run PG with this in the 3v3 court efficiently. It was, however, such a great build that you could even play lockdown with it on threes and don't even worry about the point guard ability of it. Like, how stupid does that sound, y'all, to be able to make a playmaking lockdown and spot up in the corner with it and play as like the lockdown defender? I just don't understand that, bro. You should have to make a two-way sharp to be doing stuff like that. But anyway, nonetheless, again, this build, super versatile, and I feel like you just have to come back to this. I might even be sleeping on this entirely, at having it at 6, even at that. You could even maybe make the case that this belongs at number 4, but when you see what's at number 4 and number 3, 2, 1, I feel like you just cannot dispute this top 4. However, like I said, if you disagree with the 5 and 6, again, feel free to let me know any of your feedback that you want to drop in the comments. Feel free to. I feel like this is a super fun video to go through as well. Allows you to reminisce a little bit and just kind of debate, you know, history of 2K. It's so cool to like think about the fact that we actually have history in this video game. It's actually kind of wild. So coming in number 4 and number 3 on this list, we have the 2K17 portion of this video. We had the 2K17 stretch big at number 7 earlier on this list, but these are the other 2 builds from 2K17 that we're going to mention. So again, coming in number 4, we have the 2K17 6'2" sharp. Coming in number 3, we have the 2K17 6'10" point forward. So to refresh anybody who doesn't know about the 2K17 stuff and you were confused as I was talking about the stretch big stuff right here, is we had strictly pure archetypes in 2K17. There was no such thing as the halfway split or even the new pie charts where it's like 70% something and like 20% the other. You guys get the deal, like the new pie charts in 2K21. Anyway, my whole point is, it was strictly pure archetypes in 2K17. You had your point forwards, like the playmakers, stuff like that. You had the shot creators, sharpshooters, glass, athletic, whatever it may be, slashers. You get the deal. It was all strictly pure archetypes. And in 2K17, the 6'2" sharpshooter was, it sounds so stupid, right? Because you're thinking like, oh, well, I know exactly of a build that's like that, that's so much better than that we already have. Well, hate to break it to you, but it's on the list. Anyway, my whole point is, this was like this was the play shot before the play shot right here. The 6'2" speed boosting sharp. It was ridiculous. I mean, you had Hall of Fame limitless range, all types of the Hall of Fame shooting badges, obviously. Now, the thing about this, however, you only got 5 Hall of Fame badges in 2K17, so that is one thing to weigh down a little bit, but it's hard to gauge, man. Honestly, we're just talking about history here. In 2K17, if anybody has played this game, you guys know the 6'2" sharps ruled the 3v3 court, and then the 6'10" point forwards ruled the 2v2 court. Now, you could still run threes easily with the point forwards. It's not as stupid as it sounds, honestly, when we're in 2K21 terms, because honestly, if you talk about making a 6'2" pure sharp in 2K21, or if you talk about making a 6'10" pure playmaker, it sounds absolutely stupid. It really just sounds flat out It's dumb. So to talk about the 2K17 6'10" point forward, this is the stupid thing about this build, alright? So it only had like 77 speed, I believe, with like off ball, right? But speed with ball, it had like 95 speed. So when the ball was in your hand, you were moving at the speed of light at 6'10". It was ridiculous. It's honestly comparable to 2K21 speed boost glitch, but at all times, pretty much. So the thing about this build, you can get the animation glitch on this as well. You get the contact dunks, even just bronze posterizer and bronze, just every like, you know, bronze finishing badge. You can still catch bodies with this easy if you have the animation glitch. And then let's talk about the shooting with this too, because like I said, if you talk about making a 6'10" pure play in 2K21, you're gonna struggle to shoot like super bad, right? This build right here was shooting the lights out, even with only like 74 3-pointer. You can still shoot off dribbles with this. Absolute rebounding god too. I mean, like this thing could play the 3, could play the 1, could play the 2. Doesn't even matter. It could do everything. Play 2v2, 3v3, pro-am, fit in perfectly. You could even spot up in the corner with this thing, no problem. Play perfectly fine defense. It just had so much athleticism combined with so much height. Perfect build. Honestly, like the most all-around build probably in 2K history. That's kind of allowed. All right, so this is where we're going to talk about number 1 and number 2, however, because honestly, I should take that back. Number 1 is by far the most balanced 2K build in history. Alright man, so earlier in the list we were talking about the number 5 slot where I have the 2K16 6'7" outside PG, and maybe I'm living in the past too much. Now this right here at the number 2 spot might be recency bias, but let's talk about this. So for comparison, let's go back to 2K17 6'2" sharp. This build changed the game. It was unstoppable. I mean, this thing at the end of the year for the good shooters was shooting like 75% from 3. And honestly, half the time was probably messing around. You could probably shoot literally, if you tried hard enough, almost 85% from 3 with a sharpshooter if you're a skilled shooter in this game. Now, let's talk about the play shot. So the thing that makes this build so dominant is the fact that shooting with any other build is so impossible. In 2K17, even lockdowns, post scores, glass cleaners, whatever it may be, builds with like literally 50 3-pointer could hit at a really good rate. So that's inflated numbers. This build right here stands far and above, way better at shooting than every other build in 2K21, and the thing that makes this build so amazing is the fact that it's Hall of Fame playmaking badges, Hall of Fame shooting badges. So let's compare badge-wise the 2K21 play shot to the 2K17 6'2" sharp. So off the top of my head, I believe the 2K17 badges that you got for the sharpshooters were limitless range, deep range deadeye, catch and shoot corner specialist, and then I believe mid-range deadeye. I'm not sure what the 5th slot was, but for anybody again who doesn't know about this stuff, you can only have 5 Hall of Fame badges in 2K17, and you didn't pick them or anything like that. It was preset for what archetype you picked. Shot creators, for instance, literally only had bronze limitless range. There's literally nothing you could do about that. And the weirdest thing about 2K17, it was such a weird game for those who don't know. Literally, like, shot creators had moving 3-point rating, and then sharpshooters had like standing 3-point rating. So literally, as a shot creator, you'd be better at fading than you were standing shots. It made no sense at all. Like I was talking about with this stupid build right here, it has like 95 speed with ball, but 77 speed without it. So it's like you move faster with the ball in your hand than without. This game was so broken in the first place. But anyway, again, to compare the badges, obviously in 2K21 and 2K20, you have full customization over your badges. So if you wanted to run things like difficult shot or literally like even steady shooter in 2K20, stuff like that, you could do that on demand whenever you wanted to, and you could change it all around. In 2K21, we all know, man, like this build literally gets 25 shooting badges, 24 playmaking badges, can still get 10 defensive badges, can still dunk with only 1 finishing badge equipped, whereas in 2K17, the 6'2" sharp would still even have like probably 10, 11 finishing badges on bronze. So again, the thing that puts this build at number 2 on my list of the all-time 2K builds is the comparison of shooting amongst it and the other builds that you can play with in the game. So again, what can you even make that compares to the play shot in 2K21? If you make anything like a pure sharp or the mostly green sun playmaking, you're going to struggle to playmake and, you know, just be fast with the ball in your hand, have the Hall of Fame playmaking badges on top of that, and the amount of playmaking badges. And then if you make anything like a pure playmaker to compare in the speed category or anything of a slasher or a lockdown, you're going to struggle to shoot. It's going to be as simple as that. If you don't have the Hall of Fame playmaking and the Hall of Fame shooting in your build, you're going to struggle to run the PG. And this build is just, there's no comparison to it in this game, and that's why it's coming in number 2. And honestly, like I said, when you compare it to other historic outside builds in the game, I mean, this thing is so much better than either of these 2 outside PG builds, and these are historically good of all time when it comes to the outside point guards. And coming in at number 1, where do we even begin? I mean, this build is absolutely the best build in 2K history, no doubt about it, no debate. You can't convince me otherwise that there's even a discussion of this. So let's talk about it. 7-foot small forward. In the first place, for any newcomers to 2K, you're probably wondering how the heck that's even possible or even a capable thing. Well, again, let me remind you, this is the same game where a 7'3" demigod that could have 99 everything and gold badges in every category. It sounds so crazy to think that gold badges were the max, right? You'd probably think like, oh, really? It didn't have all Hall of Fame badges? So again, you could literally get all gold badges. You could still get every gold badge with this build right here. I mean, there's literally like no cap to that. It's just pretty much the demigod made it so you didn't have to work for him. But again, from a legitimate standpoint and something you didn't have to cheat to create, this build right here could still get every badge in the game. It still had ridiculous ratings. Now, the thing about the building system in 2K15 was it was sort of like a bar system. So you could choose what you wanted to upgrade between rebounding, jump shooting, inside scoring. I think there was like defense and then rebounding as well. So pretty much you had categories that you could pick, and the 7-foot small forward was so elite in every category. I'm talking like the ball handling, shooting, dunking, everything, rebounding. And honestly, here's what I made in 2K15. I had a 6'11" small forward, and I only upgraded 10 bars on rebounding. I had like 72 rebound rating, and I still played the big man spot with this thing and held it down like crazy. It was insane how dominant these tall small forwards were. But again, when you try to compare this to the 2K15 demigods, man, it's not even a comparison either. So to talk about how dominant this build is and talk about how ridiculously better it is than every other build on the list, and then think about the fact that there's something that is like literally like 3 times better than this, is crazy to think. So the demigods in 2K15 by far are the #1 build above this one right here. But again, we're talking about from a legitimate standpoint. That build is not even up for discussion because it's completely cheating. I can't even believe how much of a cheating situation that was in 2K15 to be running a 7'3" demi with the best animations possible, the best ratings possible, and the best badges possible. So anyway, man, this was my list. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. Like I said in the intro, let's try this 1 to 1K likes in the first 24 hours. And again, I really do appreciate you guys watching this one because I feel like this is a very historic video to make on my channel in the first place either. I've never made anything related to this at all. The only thing related to this video that I've ever done is rank every NBA2K game in history in tiers. But even at that, again, this is like so original and so cool for me to like be making this video, and I never thought that like, you know, I'd be having an audience this big to be sharing my thoughts of like 2K history with in the first place either. And again, it is really cool that 2K has some history like this that we can debate and like discuss and talk about. Shout out to 2K, man. I know sometimes we give this game a lot of flack and a lot of problems and stuff like that. We address everything that's wrong with it, but again, sometimes the flaws in the game make for like a really good experience. Like, let's talk about 2K17 again. I mean, think about how flawed this game was in the first place and how stupid it was, but you still had the stretch big, the sharps, the point forwards, even my athletic demigod, like 7 foot with the dribble glitch animations and stuff like that. I mean, that stuff was so fun back in the day. It was very arcadey, don't get me wrong. Like I said, every build could shoot. You could get ridiculous dunk animations because everybody had the glitched animations on their builds. So the 6'10" point forwards with literally bronze posterizer were catching bodies. My athletic demigod with like 55 ball control was out here doing like Pro 5 behind the back and stuff like that, going crazy. And honestly, like I said, sometimes the flaws in the game make for the game to be fun. However, 2K needs to make a game that actually is intended for that to happen. Like the fact that these glitches get out and somebody could make a 6'10" point forward with the contact dunks, like, you know, glitched on, or you could have the 2K17 stretch big with the animation glitch dribble moves and stuff like that, or same with my athletic. It makes for such a horrible skill gap when it comes to the elite players, quote unquote, and the noobs, because the noobs don't have that advantage. And the final example that I want to make while we're on this topic is the 2K15 demigods. It was so unfair for any noob who just came into the game and didn't know about that glitch, and then when they patch it and nobody else can make one, then just like all of a sudden now it's just ridiculous, bro. It's like not even fair for any of the people who play this game legitimately to try and compare and compete with builds like that. So again, I think if 2K ever wants to go another arcadey route, you got to make builds like that fully accessible to everybody. Just make it so it's intended to be like that. Now in 2K, like all the way from 19 to 21, we have things like tendency glitches and all this stupid BS that like, you have to cheat your way to being better, and just all of a sudden now you're quote unquote a credible good player, and you just got all these tendencies to bail you out and make you look better, when in reality if you didn't have the tendencies or the animation glitch in 2K17, stuff like that, you wouldn't even be all that great. And granted, I'm a hypocrite talking about this in the first place because like I said, I had the 2K17 animation glitch on my athletic finisher giving me the dribble moves and stuff like that. So it made me look a whole lot better than I actually was, even though you could still manage to use the normal dribble moves. I even made videos talking about how, like, you know, like showing you guys what the best normal dribble moves were for that game. But anyway, like I said, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And I like these debates too. This is really fun to make. But anyway, if you made it to the very end of the video, put 2K in the comments to show your support you made all the way through. And on that, hope y'all enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.